It's now time for Doctors Detained. This year, Kenya made history with two momentous events, both tied to the Kenyan judiciary. Before the Supreme Court surprised Kenyans and the world at large with the nullification of the presidential election outcome, the Labour Court in Nairobi had grabbed its place in the annals of history by jailing 7 officials of the Kenyan Medical Practitioners, Pharmacist and Dentist Board. Everyone now knows about that event, but the story you have never heard or seen anywhere is exactly what happened to the jail doctors in the hours they were behind bars. Tonight, our very own Dr. Mercy Korir brings us that exclusive report. You don't want to move from your seat until this is over. Here's part 1. Take a look.
Kenya made history in 2017 by jailing 7 officials of the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union for contempt of court.
This court declines to review its orders sentencing the applicants to 1 month jail term, and the orders of this court will now crystallize.
The doctors' journey to jail made for unprecedented court drama between the doctors and a visibly impatient Lady Justice.
There is no way you can bring another application when your hands are stained with dirt and blood. You must clean up yourself and then you come to ask for any orders you seek. But so long as you are dirty, your clients are dirty, they are stinking of sewage, they cannot come before this court and get any other orders.
This utterance sparked outrage from the public and the doctors, while the legal fraternity steered clear of this drama.
He helped to radicalize our members.
After several postponements of the ruling, the gavel fell.
I think that we were being psychologically being tortured, and it was worse than actually being taken to jail. Like, if you want to jail me, jail me. This thing of, oh, you will be jailed and then tomorrow, and then what, you know?
The journey to that jail and being guests of the state began for who the doctors called the CBA 7. This is a story of doctors detained. The 13th day of February 2017 goes down in Kenyan history as the first time doctors were jailed for being in contempt of court over an industrial dispute.
In the beginning, we only knew it would be either the SG or the chairman who would be put in such a situation. So when names kept on being added onto that list, because the initial list didn't have majority.
But in terms of putting pen to paper, in one way or another, the Secretary General bears the brand.
Prior to this day, the 7 doctors, courtesy of the Independent Medical Legal Unit, had gone through counseling for psychological preparation for their possible 30 days in jail, but nothing could have prepared them for what they encountered.
Jail is not interesting, it's not fun. The thought of going to jail is bad.
My parents are not young people, they are old people. And to find their daughter in such a situation, no, it was never something any of us, even as we sit on the dinner table, we think about.
When I had in Australia, oh my God, that was the longest day of my life. So all the things I've been told about in Australia, they flashed back in my head. So I thought of, oh my God, help me. I thought of kufunguliwa boot.
You're locked up in a cell, an empty room, dark room with very small windows up there, nothing, just an empty room with nothing inside, and, no, you can't sit, the floor is wet.
Each of the 7 doctors dug deep into themselves as the Land Rover whisked them away.
I could look at each of them, I could see each and every person deeply thinking. I don't know what they were thinking.
A lot of things were crisscrossing in my mind about, did it worth it? Or was it my best journey to fight for the welfare of the doctors in this country?
There were those around me who would find it very hard. My mom, for example, I didn't even know how to reach her.
I remember seeing our secretary in tears and some of the doctors in tears. That's when it actually hit home that, oh.
I shed a tear, not because of myself, but I was like, why? I just saw that emotion overwhelmed them, and I think I was very sorry for them.
They tried to find something to puncture the palpable anxiety among them.
We were discussing the likelihood of, what specific prisons we would go to.
We were trying to think now, what is the way forward? We'll have to stay for 30 days in prison.
Our colleagues who were looking up to us every day for information, for encouragement. And I remember when we were leaving that gate, so many of them were crying. That made even some of us shed tears because they were seeing these people, they had so much hope in actually going to jail.
Langata police station holding cells was the worst experience for the 7 doctors from the food.
Tukakula ugali kavu because cabbage kadogo, very dry, no soup, nothing.
You can't sit down. The only thing you can do is stand or squat, and you can't squat for too long. So we stood, I remember, and I had heels on that day. I remember standing for a very long time.
The cell was very dirty. I think they had just poured water and it had dried. So when it's drying up, the stench of urine, then you look all over the walls and there are all these smears of feces all over. And then so then you were sitting down and then you asked just for water to wash your hand and give it.
It's not an admirable situation. I don't want to remember those kind of the moment because I decided to sleep.
And when the call of nature came,
We were shown some dark place with a heap of feces and the urine. Remember, we had removed one shoes, so you are hoping of jumping to the place where you're supposed to have your call of nature. I got there and a kind of reflex happened and the call of nature disappeared.
the ladies and their knack for cleanliness found themselves between dirt and more dirt.
Our floor was wet. There was water actually in an area. And remember, this is a cement sort of room. So it was very cold and damp. You hadn't even, you hadn't dressed up knowing that you're going to a cold room.
Just as they were acclimatizing to their new home, time came to relocate the ladies to Langata Women's Prison and the men to industrial area.
Niambiwa unaweza funguliwa boot. And I was warned of going to industrial area. So I was told that ukisikia unapelekwa industrial area, you better collapse, upelekwa ICU.
It makes you accept vulnerability. Yeah, and then for me, I think I accepted vulnerability.
The expectation was that the conditions would be bad, probably congestion and, not having, a good place to sleep and even shower.
Before long, in what seemed to be the government's classic modus operandi, it was time to move again.
Then we were put in an ambulance.
And we could not see where we were going.
There were like 4 police cars escorting us to committee. And that is the day I felt also important because we were being escorted by 4 police cars and other chase cars.
At that particular point, you can't think much. As an individual, and I think the body has a way of just being comfortable. You can't think much because you're just in the hands of God.
Even when they were free men and women, the government had been hot on their heels.
We were being tapped so that they could track our conversation, and our next move, actually all our phones were tracked.
We had received so many threats. There were times we never used to sleep in our houses.
My vehicle was actually vandalized in my parking in my house.
My sister, who stays here in Nairobi, she used to be called and could be informed that, just tell your brother to call out the strike. Or if he doesn't, then something bad may happen to him.
At committee, the reception was good. They even got something to eat.
There was the notion that there was a directive from the high authority that we don't get better treatment at the prison. So there was a lot of mixed feelings actually when we headed there, and also the bad food.
All along, the prisons officers were very friendly people. They were very friendly. The guys in committee received as well.
Each one of us was given a loaf of bread and milk and a bottle of water.
Tukakunywa maziwa haraka sana. And you know, when you take milk with an empty stomach, you develop some diarrhea issues. So immediately after taking milk, everyone yanaumwa na tumbo. Then we started asking, where is the toilet? Then we were lining up on the toilet, which was one. And at that point, we thought we had been poisoned.
The 5 male doctors had vowed to stick together as a defense mechanism, but the government had a better idea: separation.
That was a very low moment, because the only encouragement we had at that particular point was we would go into this together.
That's where the reality started dawning on us, that now it's an individual mission and it's an individual decision. And now here, we don't know why they decided to do that, but we got scared.
We all said, okay, fine, now this is going to be tough.
At some point, you just become comfortable in the situation and you're saying, this is my situation, and you stop what I call a pity party. So there is no pity partying. You just say, this is it. Because you can't punish yourself twice. You're being punished by the system, then you start punishing yourself again.
That is the time we felt like, now this separation means a lot. We thought they would use the separation to torture us and to intimidate us individually.
The ladies at Langata were not spared either.
So I just actually taken a shower, and now I was settling in for the night. And then I had my name being called. And they are not telling me what is the reason why my name is being called.
As Daisy slept the night away, Evelyn was being whisked to her next home.
And they told me, we are going. So I'm wondering, what is going on? I mean, you know, this is not a process I've been through before. And why at 7 p.m., why is this all happening at night? Then Daisy, I've left Daisy. It's now later on that I found out Daisy actually thought that Evelyn has been released. Yeah, she wasn't aware. She didn't know.
The men were also going through a night of uncertain travel.
Here I am being driven out of prison, and here's my brother coming to try and see if he can find out if that's where I am, because none of our family members knew where we were for the first 24 hours.
I kept asking them, where are we going? Boss, where are we going? And you remember, I'm handcuffed and I'm holding that half loaf remaining. And then I'm also supposed to hold somewhere so that I don't fall, because remember, there's nothing to hold in the Land Rovers. So even before you settle, you find yourself falling on the other wall, back and forth, back and forth. We went through the coffee plantation. At some point, I lost track.
I got at Ruiru at around 1. It was a bit cold. It was, you know, you're in a new environment. And funny enough, you get to an environment where everyone knows you, but you don't know anybody.
I was taken to Kajiado police station, prisons. My secretary was put in committee medium. Others were taken to Ruiru. Another one was taken to Kiambu. My deputy secretary was taken to Atriba. And that's how we ended up in different prisons.
All this while, they hoped nothing bad would happen to them.
To be honest, I thought this is a point we were going to face real torture. The horrific stories we ever hear is that there are individuals who were picked and that was the end of them. They were never traced, they were never heard of again. And so when they were, you know, driving me around at night through coffee plantation, and then you're asking where you're being taken and you're not being told, all these questions keep flashing in my mind, and then you think of the words your mom and your dad has been telling you all along. It was torture.
At that point in your mind, you still have these stories and myths of what is prison like.
One of the prisoners told me, was it the next day, that prison life begins at night. That statement, I keep stuck saying it, that prison life begins at night.
At their new homes, reception was exceptional.
The warden was like, welcome. This is not a bad place. We'll take good care of you. He was trying to convince me that I should be okay.
I must appreciate that the warders at Ruiru really welcomed me so well. And they gave me a segregation room that night.
I was so hungry. So the warden, she asked me, have I eaten the whole day? I mean, she was the first person to ask me that question. And I was just like, wow, they treat you with respect, with love even. And these are people, these are strangers.
And they gave me a mattress, a new one for that matter. Actually, mine was very new. And then they gave me 2 blankets. So I carried my mattress on this side and carried my blankets, and I walked.
Daisy and Oluga were spared the night too.
They received me well, they helped me get a place to sleep, gave me a few things to use, encouraging me and telling me, this case of yours, we don't think you'll stay here for long. We think something will happen, you know. So just relax and try to adapt.
I went to the dispensary because I was having some headache. I went to the dispensary. Then there was one of the prisoners who was the doctor. Then he just looked for paracetamol. There was none, so I just had to sleep.
Their new environments caught some of them by surprise.
When you go to those prisons, we realized that the wardens were so friendly and human, and they took good care of us. And even the prisoners themselves, they took good care of us.
In Langata, I had a big bed. I had a bed. We start from there, a bed. A bed with clean sheets, and blankets, and a pillow. Things we take for granted.